Have you ever heard about the time the US Army wrote a literal guide to transcending reality? No, seriously, it's a real declassified document, and it claims to use quantum physics to explain consciousness, the universe, and even how to pop into other dimensions. It sounds like something out of a movie, right? Well, it's not. Let's dive into this incredibly strange and fascinating report.
So, just to be clear, this is not a sci-fi novel or some internet conspiracy theory. You can see the letterhead right there. This is an official report from 1983 called Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process, and it was written for a U.S. Army commander. Its purpose? To evaluate a program that claimed it could teach people how to alter their own consciousness and, get this, literally escape the boundaries of time and space.
The author, a guy named Wayne McDonnell, doesn't waste any time. This quote is from the very first page, where he basically says, look, to even begin to explain how this stuff works, I had to go deep into quantum mechanics, and that is the key takeaway here. This isn't just about meditation or positive thinking, it's a serious attempt to create a scientific model for what many would consider mystical experiences.
All right, so how does this whole wild journey start? Well, according to the report, it all begins with a very specific technique, one that's designed to fundamentally change the way your brain is wired to work. It all boils down to one core idea: getting your brain perfectly synchronized.
The foundation for this entire program is a technology called HemiSync. As you can see, it's a system that uses audio, originally delivered on these old-school tapes, developed by the Monroe Institute. And its goal is exactly what it sounds like, to synchronize the left and right hemispheres of your brain.
So, how is a sound supposed to do all that? Well, the report explains that if you play one specific frequency in your left ear and a slightly different frequency in your right, your brain creates a third beat, a phantom pulse, right inside your head. And this triggers something called a frequency-following response. Basically, your brainwaves just can't help themselves. They naturally start to copy that rhythm, which guides you into these really specific states of consciousness.
And why is that so important? Well, the report paints a picture of our two brain halves. You've got the left hemisphere, your logical, word-loving, self-aware mind. And then you have the right hemisphere, the holistic, intuitive, non-verbal side. The whole theory is that if you can get these two to stop arguing and start working in perfect harmony, you unlock this powerful, unified state of mind. And that opens the door to abilities that are usually just lying dormant.
But syncing your brain is really just the warm-up act. To understand where the gateway process is actually trying to take you, you have to be willing to accept a completely radical new model of reality itself. And I gotta tell you, this is where things get truly mind-bending.
So, I want you to just forget everything you think you know about how the world works. The report argues that the universe is not a big empty space with a bunch of separate objects floating around in it. Nope. Instead, it's a single, massive, interconnected hologram. Everything is literally a part of everything else. Now, I know that sounds pretty out there, so the report uses this simple analogy to help explain it. Imagine dropping a few pebbles into a pond. You see all those ripples crossing over each other, right? That's an interference pattern. Now, if you could instantly freeze that water, that frozen pattern of ripples is a hologram. The report is basically saying our entire universe is just a massively complex version of that, a huge pattern of energy waves where all the information of the whole thing is encoded everywhere. And this diagram from the report is just brilliant. It shows us how we fit into this holographic picture. According to this theory, our own consciousness acts like a kind of lens or a reader for this universal hologram. The logical left brain decodes all these wave patterns and turns them into the 3D reality we see every day. Meanwhile, the intuitive right brain perceives it for what it truly is, one whole, interconnected pattern.
Then the report zooms all the way out to this incredible concept it calls the cosmic egg. This diagram, pulled straight from the document, is their model for the entire universe, all of time, all of space, as one single self-contained hologram. It's shaped like a torus, which is kind of like a donut, and it's constantly cycling. From a beginning point it calls a white hole, all the way to an end point, a black hole, and then starting all over again.
Okay, so if the universe is a hologram and our consciousness is the thing that can read it, where does that leave us? Well, the next step in the gateway process is maybe the most extraordinary claim of them all, the idea that you can leave our dimension entirely.
And where do you go? The report calls this destination the absolute. It describes it as this state of pure, undifferentiated energy, an infinite ocean of potential that exists completely outside of our reality of time and space.
So, how on earth are you supposed to get there? This diagram from the report is the key. The theory goes like this. Your consciousness is an energy wave. If you can use HemiSync to lower the frequency of that wave, to get it vibrating really, really slowly, it can pass a fundamental threshold of physics called Planck's distance. That's literally the smallest possible unit of measurement in the universe. And according to the report, once your consciousness wave vibrates smaller than that, you literally click out of our reality and into the absolute. You just phase out.
And what happens when you click out? Well, since you're no longer stuck in the flow of linear time, the report claims you can access the entire universal hologram all at once. The past, the present, the future, they're all just different parts of the same cosmic picture, and your awareness can suddenly access any part of it.
Okay, so we've got brain synchronization, a holographic universe, and the ability to click out of time. But what was the point? What was the actual goal here for the Army? Well, the final part of the report gets into the practical applications. How this whole theory was meant to be used to develop a set of skills. Skills that sound an awful lot like psychic powers.
The whole Gateway training program was structured around achieving these very specific states called focus levels. Think of it like a ladder of consciousness. You start at focus 10, where your body is totally asleep, but your mind is wide awake. And from there, you learn to climb up to expanded awareness, and then to the really wild stuff, like accessing the past in focus 15, and even the future in focus 21.
And reaching those focus levels, that was just a beginning. The ultimate goal was to master these advanced techniques. We're talking everything from problem solving by just tapping into the universe's knowledge, to remote viewing people and places far away, to the famous out-of-body experience. But maybe the most fascinating one is patterning, the idea that you could actually manifest a desired outcome in your life by creating a powerful hologram of it in your mind.
So what are we supposed to make of all this? Is it just a bizarre flight of fancy, tucked away in some declassified government file? Or was this a genuine, if really unorthodox, attempt by the military to map out the furthest reaches of human potential? The document doesn't give us the final answer, which leaves us with the big question. Is this all just a fringe theory, or is it a secret glimpse into the true nature of consciousness itself?